Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I have a viewer request for a practice that focuses on backbends. And I think that's a fabulous idea because backbends get energy circulating throughout our body. They're known to help us connect in with our energy. So it's a perfect early morning practice. Actually, perfect for any time that you want to get some energy going. So if you have a mid-afternoon slump or something like that, great for that too. So happy to have you here. Let's get started. So I'd like to begin standing at the front of the mat. Just with the toes together, big toes together, heels slightly apart. Give your shoulders a couple of rolls. You can bring your hands to your hips. Turn the tailbone down, pull the hip bones up. Lengthen up through your spine. And let the fingertips drop now towards the floor. Palms face forward. Even spiral your thumbs back a little bit. We'll take 3 breaths here. Taking these first few moments of practice to connect with your intention for the practice for this day. Really feeling the breath moving through the body. And as we stand here, let's begin to manipulate the breath. 3 more breaths, deepening the inhale, filling the body more deeply, lengthening the inhale, holding the breath in, and then a long, slow exhale. Matching the length of the inhale. Hold yourself empty. And another big inhale. Hold the breath in. Exhale. Hold yourself empty. One more time, big breath in. Hold. Long, slow exhale. And hold. Return to a normal breath. You can softly open your eyes. And on your next inhale, float the hands up overhead. We'll start with this easy spinal warm-up. So let's twist to the right. Left hand forward, right hand back. Keeping the hip bones facing the front of the mat. Inhale up to center and exhale to the other side. Reaching the right hand forward, left hand back. Inhale up. As we exhale, let's arc to the right. Right hand can come to the outside of the right thigh. Left hand reaches up and over. Inhale, fingertips high. Exhale to the other side. Inhale to come up. As we exhale, let's bring the hands to the base of the spine. And inhale to lengthen the spine. Turn the tailbone down. You can press down with the hands. Lift the points of the hip bones up so that the core is engaged. Roll the elbows back. Roll the shoulders back. And begin to lift up through the chest. Keep the low belly pulled in and engaged and the low ribs pulled in and engaged. So when we're doing backbends, this is the place where I see a lot of students really releasing. So the tailbone stays tucked in. We're just lifting up through the rib cage, bringing the heart up. Notice the neck, the chin is still tucked into the throat, so we don't want to swing the head back. One more full cycle of breath here. And then inhale to bring the crown of the head high. Reach the fingertips overhead. As you exhale, turn the palms out to the sides and forward fold all the way down. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. Lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, forward fold. Soften the knees. Bring your palms to the mat and step your feet back to the back of the mat, coming to a high plank pose. Inhale the shoulders forward. And as we exhale, let's lower all the way down to the mat. Tops of the feet press into the mat and lift the chest. Cobra pose, a low cobra. Pull the elbows in, roll the shoulders back, hearts forward. Staying very light in your hands here. Exhale to release. We're going to come through this 2 more times in mid and high cobra. So slide your hands back on the mat so that your thumbs are more in line with your rib cage. Elbows pulled in, shoulder width apart, and lift up a little bit higher. Maybe your navel is going to come up off the mat now. Roll the shoulders back, hearts forward. Low back is long, engaging through the front of the body to support the spine. Exhale to release. Slide your hands back a little bit further. Your thumbs are maybe in line with like your belly button now. And press up. Cobra. This is a high cobra pose. Elbows are slightly bent, shoulders roll back, hearts forward, front of the body is fully engaged, supporting the low back. Press into the tops of your feet. Exhale to release. Hands come back up next to the chest, curl into your toes, and let's press up to table or plank. You can be on your toes or on your knees here. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Nice easy breath here. Let's move around in the frame of down dog. Pedaling the feet, swinging the hips. Inhale to lift the right heel up towards the ceiling and bend the knee and open the hip as you exhale. Pull the left outer hip in towards the center of the mat and reach your right knee up towards the ceiling. Getting a little bit of a back bend here. Press into your hands. Push the right knee up a little bit higher. Your right foot is just sort of hanging on the outside of the right body. You can maybe even feel like you want to tap yourself on the left shoulder with your right foot. Inhale to extend. And exhale, let's set that right foot down next to the left. Inhale, the left heel lifts. As we exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Let the left foot hang outside the right hip. Lift the left knee. Press into the hands, lift a little higher. And then squeeze the hamstring. See if you can feel like you want to tap your right shoulder with your left toes. Give yourself a little pat on the back. Inhale to extend the left heel. As you exhale, bring the left foot down next to the right, downward facing dog. Bring your gaze forward between your hands. Come up behind your toes, bend your knees, and bring your feet forward to the front of the mat. You can do that any way works for you. Step, walk, lunge, maybe a jump. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Hands up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Then drop your hands down next to your hips, Tadasana. Inhale, let's reach the fingertips up. As we exhale, forward fold over your legs. Inhale to find a halfway lift, fingertips on the shins or on the floor, just extending the spine. As you exhale, soften the knees, fingertips to the mat, and step your right foot back to the back of the mat, dropping down into the right knee. Inhale, the fingertips sweep forward and up. As you exhale, sink into the hips. Bring the elbows down so they're extending straight up from the shoulders, palms face forward, so goddess arms. So here, turn the tailbone down. So we're lengthened through the spine. You can even bring your hips back a little bit so that you can find that length in the spine. And then begin to soften into the left knee, bringing the hips forward and down, reaching, stretching through the front of the right hip, being very soft and gentle and through the hips. Now we can begin, as we did when we were standing at the beginning of the mat practice, lifting the heart, the rib cage up and away from the spine, lifting the chest up towards the ceiling. Thumbs are still pointing at your ears. Your palms are maybe facing the ceiling now. So let's bring the crown of the head back up, fingertips back up. As we exhale, bring the fingertips down, frame the front foot, curl into the right toes, lift the right knee, and let's step the left foot back to meet the right in down dog. Big breath in here, lift the right heel. And as we exhale, let's bring the right foot forward between the hands, drop down into the left knee, sweep the fingertips forward and up. As we exhale now, know what we're looking for, slipping the hips forward and down, softening into the front of the left hip, pulling the outer right hip in towards the center as we slip down towards the right heel. Let's goddess the arms now, hands facing, palms facing forward, squeezing the shoulder blades together, opening up across the chest, and then lift up through the chest, through the rib cage, keeping the chin tucked so that the back bend is really happening right around the rib cage. One more full cycle of breath here. And then inhale the fingertips high. As we exhale, bring the fingertips to meet the front of the mat and step the left foot forward to meet the right. Halfway lift. As we exhale, forward fold. Inhale, soften the knees and let's rise all the way up to stand. Hands up, look up. As we exhale, join the hands at the base of the spine. Interlace the fingers. Roll the elbows back till they're about shoulder height. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Open up through the chest and begin to press your knuckles down towards the mat. Now this is a time when the low ribs begin to pop out. Pull them back in. Lengthen down through the spine. Find length, strength in the core, supporting the spine. From here, we can begin to soften through the knees and come to like a chair pose with the legs. Bringing the hips back down, knees are behind the toes, tailbone stays turned down, low back, long core is engaged. Pressing the knuckles straight back to the wall behind you. Crown of the head's reaching up at an angle. Big breath in here. As we exhale, lift the hips, forward fold, drop the crown of your head, keep the engagement of the hands, the fingers interlaced. Inhale, back to your chair pose with the interlace of the fingers. Exhale, forward fold, lifting the hips, pressing the back of the knees back. Inhale, chair with the chest expansion. Exhale, forward fold. And you can release your hands, halfway lift, fingertips on the shins or on the floor. As we exhale, fingertips to the mat, step your right foot back to the back of the mat. And inhale to sweep the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, sinking the hips. Let's take an easy twist here. Right hand forward, left hand back. Stretching out through both the fingertips as you sink the hips. From here, let's take the right elbow, bring it to the outside of the left knee. Palm faces the ceiling. And then take your left palm, put it on top of the right. So your left elbow is facing up towards the ceiling. Left shoulder stacks over the right. Press back through the right heel. Forward through the crown of your head. Inhale to roll the left shoulder back. a little higher. You can gaze up at the ceiling if that feels good. Let's inhale to open up, back up to center. As we exhale, bring the hands down, frame the front foot, step the left foot back to meet the right, high plank pose, and exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the right heel, and exhale to bring that right foot forward between the hands. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up. Exhale, sinking the hips, twisting to the right now. Left hand forward, right hand back. Sinking down through the hips, sink the shoulder blades down away from the ears. And let's hinge forward, bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Turn that left palm up and then bring your right palm over the left. Press back through the left heel, forward through the crown of the head. Be broad across the collarbones here. Roll the right shoulder back. You can bring your gaze up to the ceiling or keep it down at your right big toe. It's up to you. Inhale, up to center. As we exhale, let's bring the hands down, frame the front foot, and step your right foot back to meet the left, downward facing dog. Let's come up high on the toes, really high on the toes here, and bring your knees down to the width of the mat. Unhook your toes and walk your hands in towards your knees so that you're sitting tall, with your spine nice and long, hips over heels. Just give your shoulders a couple of rolls here. I want to take a variation on a camel pose. So bring your hands back behind your feet. You can have your fingertips facing forward. I start here lifting the hips just a little bit, turning the tailbone down, and then settle your hips back down between your heels with a nice long spine. So the core is slightly engaged. The front of your abdominals are slightly engaged, supporting the low back. From here, you can begin, once again, roll the shoulders back, roll the elbows back, lift the rib cage. You can stay just like this, or if you want a little bit more, press the hips up towards the ceiling. Turn the tailbone down. From here, if you're interested, you can keep the chin tucked or you can let your head go. It's up to you. Keep pressing the hips forward. Lengthening through the low spine. Pulling the low ribs in. One more big breath in. Then exhale to bring the hips back down onto the heels. Bring your hands forward and just walk them forward to a child's pose. Nice easy breath here. And walk your hands in. You can come to a tabletop pose here and cross your ankles, roll over your feet, and scoot your hips to the center of the mat. We're going to come right down onto our back so we can practice some bridge and maybe some wheel. So coming down onto your back in any way that feels good for you. You might want to have your hands next to your hips or reaching forward. Tuck the chin and roll down onto your back. Scooch the hips into the center of the mat. Bring your heels in close to your ribcage, to your hips. Tuck the shoulder blades in underneath one another. Lengthen the spine here so that the core, the low back is pressed into the mat, the low belly is engaged. The navel to spine, low ribs are pulled in towards the center line. Press into your feet to lift the hips. And you can stay just like this, pressing your hands, the palms of your hands into the mat, or you can begin to walk your shoulder blades in towards one another, interlace your fingers, and lift up a little bit higher. Full cycle of breath here, pressing into the back of the arms, the pinky side of your hands. And then exhale to release. I like to roll my spine down onto the mat. You can do as you like. Let your feet come to the width of the mat, knees and neck together. We're going to do a couple more variations on these poses, so don't bring your knees into your chest quite yet. Full cycle of breath here. And then bring your feet back in towards your sits bones. Lengthen the spine, press the low back down, pull the low ribs in, and lift the hips up off the mat. Now you can take the same pose as you did at the beginning of practice, pressing the palms, interlacing the hands, or you can take your hands and just cup your rib cage, just helping you to know that you are lifted, you're evenly lifted through both sides of the body, and you're going to stay lifted. Now come up onto the toes, and then walk your feet in a little bit towards your shoulder blades. You can stay like this, you can drop the heels back down, up to you. From here, keep both hips lifted, stable through the core. Let's bring the right knee into the chest and lift the right heel up towards the ceiling. Try not to let the right side body drop down. You can feel your rib cage here. Right knee into the chest, right toes down, left knee into the chest, press up through the left heel. Really lifting, pressing that left heel towards the ceiling, left knee to chest, toes down, heels down if you have them lifted, and then roll the spine back down onto the mat. Feet come wide, knees together. Full cycle of breath here. So from here, you can take either pose that we just took once again, or you can make your way into a full wheel. So I'll step us through the full wheel, but always when we're doing these practices, these poses, especially the deep back bends, really listen to your body. Be really aware of where you are in the practice, what's going to work best for you today, and choose the pose that is going to serve you the best. We don't want to take these back bends to a place where we hurt ourselves. So be very aware. This is your practice, and there's always another day for more back bends. So listening to ourselves carefully. If you want to take the full wheel, you can bring your hands to the mat, point the fingertips at the shoulders, bring the heels of your hands down, elbows point straight up at the ceiling. So even if wheel is not in your practice today, but you feel like you want to work towards it, taking your bridge pose with your hands in this position can start to help to stretch out the wrists. Now I notice here, automatically when my hands go up, my shoulders start to arch and my spine starts to arch. So I'm going to press the low back down into the mat, engage the core, pull the low ribs in, and then from here press up to bridge. You can stay just like this, or take one pump, press onto the crown of your head. From here you can make any adjustments to your hands and feet that you need to. Just pivot around on them till you're comfortable. And then press into your hands, straighten the elbows, and come all the way up to wheel pose. Gazing down at the mat between your thumbs, pull the elbows in till they're about hip shoulder width apart, and keep your knees shoulder width apart. One more full cycle of breath here. Another breath in. And then as you exhale, you can lower all the way down into the mat. So lower to the crown of your head, and then roll the spine down. Bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. You can make some circles with your knees if you like. Go in one direction and then the other. Just feels good. Hold on to the backs of your legs, tuck your chin, and rock the length of your spine till you come all the way up to sit. Hips in the center of the mat, feet, knees bent, soles of the feet on the mat. Pull your heels in towards your body, and then wrap your arms behind around the backs of your thighs, hugging yourself tight, aiming to hold on to opposite elbows if that's possible for you. Rounding the spine, tucking the chin. You're really collapsing across the front of the body now. And then start to lean back. Pull the navel away from the spine. So you're really opening up through the back body. It's like the complete opposite of a back bend here. And you can breathe into the back body. Release your arms. You can lengthen up through the spine one more time. And let's find our way back down onto our back. You can reach the hands or tuck the chin. Or you can have your hands on the mat. Coming all the way down. This time, let's finish out with a simple twist. So pop your hips over to the right. Let the knees fall to the left as you extend out through both hands, right to left. Right shoulder blade stays on the mat. Right hip stacks over the left. And we're just breathing through the right side body. If you're looking for more sensation, you can, you have a version of this pose that you really like, go ahead and take it. Coming back up to center. You can pop your hips to the center and then over to the left just a couple of inches, and then let the knees fall to the right. Stacking the left ankle over the right, the left knee over the right, the left hip over the right. Rolling the left shoulder blade heavily down onto the mat. Really extending it to the left side, even bringing your gaze to the left. Again, taking any special version of this pose that you may like. Gaze back up to the ceiling. You can bring the knees back up to center. If there's any final move that you'd like to take, go ahead and take it. I'm going to stay in a very subtle move here. Soles of the feet on the mat, knees bent, and just making some circles around the back of my pelvis. Massaging the low back. In the other direction. And then when you're ready, make your way to Savasana. Heels to the far corners of the mat. Tuck the shoulder blades in. Palms face up. Breathe deep and easy here. This is a wonderful time to notice after the back bends, the energy running, racing, rushing, circulating throughout our body. Connecting in with that sense of energy, right from the toes, right up through the crown of the head. tingling or vibrating with energy. Few breaths here. Enjoying this stillness before we come up together. When you're ready to begin moving again, begin by wiggling your fingers and toes, turning your wrists and ankles, your head from side to side. Bringing your knees into your chest, give yourself a hug. From here, you can hold on to the backs of your thighs, tuck your chin, and roll the length of your spine to come up to sit, just like we did at the beginning or just a few moments ago. Or if you like, you can roll to one side or the other. Come to the fetal position. Breath or two here. And then when you're ready, make your way up to a seated position. Take your time. Find yourself very comfortable. Your spine extending straight up out of the pelvis. Give the shoulders a couple of rolls. Let's inhale, the fingertips up overhead. As we exhale, thumbs to the third eye and hinge forward. It's our final pose for this day. And thank you for joining me. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me today for this practice. I hope you liked it, and I hope you have tons of energy coursing through your body. Remember, this practice came from a viewer request, and I would love to fill your request too. So leave me a note in the comments. Let me know what you liked about this practice, what you'd like to see more of, and I will create a sequence just for you. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing day. Namaste.